Ryan Day's patient approach to the QB battle will make Ohio State stronger.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your Tuesday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. And today's episode is brought to you by the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Stay with us for the Armada Team of the Week later in the episode. During today's show, we'll dive into Ryan Day's demeanor in the first day of spring practice, as well as the Buckeyes' emphasis during spring ball. But first, Ryan Day is no stranger to try to figure out who the right man is to lead the Buckeyes offense. Had a QB battle when he first got to Columbus, had another one a couple years later, another one a couple years later, and then in back-to-back years, it was McCord and then Will Howard leading the Buckeyes offense. And this year's no different. Trying to figure out who is going to be the QB1 is a big task. It takes a long time, a lot of practices to figure out who the right guy is. And Ryan Day has had a patient approach previously when trying to figure out who should lead the Buckeyes offense. He should keep the same approach now. Be patient. Allow things to work themselves out. Allow yourself to have months with these guys to figure out who the right man is. But while also being patient, you're making the team stronger, because during that process, what could be a gauntlet to the guys that are participating, it's going to make them stronger as players, and it's going to allow the players around them to gain more trust in that guy who holds the title of QB1 at the end of the day. And for Ryan Day, it's very interesting that he's here once again. Justin Fields, Stroud, McCord, Howard, all won QB battles. Those quarterbacks are different. You got a ball placement specialist in Stroud, a very athletic quarterback in Justin Fields. McCord and Howard are different in the way they play the football. That's very similar to what's happening right now. Lincoln Kienholz, the oldest guy in the room, the longest tenured Buckeye there in the room. Julian Sayin, his quick release is something you can read articles about, that it was on full display right there at the Woody Hayes Athletic Center on the first day of spring practice. And then Tavien St. Clair, probably the most physically ready to play right now, but he's an incoming freshman. He's a youngster, which holds a lot of weight there about why he's probably not going to be the guy. Not going to say he can't be, but he probably won't be. But if Ryan Day sees fit that St. Clair or Sayin or Kienholz are the guy already, and they just give him the keys right now, that could lead to disaster. It could also lead to success. If you realize someone has the goods and they are the guy, you can go ahead right then and there and say, oh, okay, you're going to be that starter. That could lead to exactly what you want. It could also lead to disaster and doom. But I think the patient approach has worked for Ryan Day before, and we know it has. And he should always keep that same approach. Now, there's one little thing I would say about Ryan Day that I don't think he needs to do this year. Ryan Day has a tendency, as a lot of coaches do, to wait until 2 to 3 weeks into fall camp before naming a starting quarterback. But by that time, a lot of people already know who the starting quarterback is, those in-house, those that are outside of the house. People already know who the guy is that's going to lead the Buckeyes offense. A year ago, we all knew it was going to be Will Howard the moment Will Howard transferred to Ohio State. However, Will Howard had to change some things when he got to Ohio State. While you may transfer someplace to start, you might not have all the mechanics correct to start once you get there. And that was Will Howard's thing. Will Howard had to change his mechanics. He had to not go to a 5-step drop and 2 hitches, or a three-step drop and 2 hitches. No, he had to speed up his clock, figure out how to work with faster players and faster receivers, and work at Ryan Day's pace. Trust me, it's very, very, very difficult to go from a Kansas State style of playing football to an Ohio State style of playing football. While it's also difficult to go from a Ball State level playing football to go to an Indiana Hoosiers level of playing football. It's very difficult. That speed of play is different. The physicality needed is different. The processing rate needs to be a lot faster. There's a lot of things that go from playing from one level to another. When you think about Ohio State's quarterbacks right now, they have only played football, consistently played football in high school. None of them have consistently played at Ohio State. So there is still that learning curve. While your mechanics are getting better and they're improving, Ryan Day also realizes, y'all, you're still figuring this thing out. And while you're still figuring this thing out, I'm going to be very, very patient and help you while you try to figure this thing out, which goes into why on day one of spring practice, Ryan Day, when the players went to an 11-man drills, the first guy to get to be with the ones, Lincoln Kienholz. Julian Sayin was with the twos. Tavien St. Clair was with the threes. Now, when they got some more reps there after their first run through, Sayin went with the ones and Kienholz went with the twos. Is that a way to say that one guy has the upper hand because he's older? No. It's Ryan Day truly being patient and realizing there's no pecking order right now. You're literally laying things out in the age for these three guys. That's it. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing at all. But also, while doing it this way, when you're going from 11-man drills and Kienholz is there at one time and the Sayin's there at one time, you're going to figure out the leadership and toughness of these guys. Yes, it's day one of a spring ball, so you're only able to do so much with the physical part of it. You're not going and doing full team periods where it's 11 versus 11 and trying to get the best on best. You're not doing that right now. No. But you can definitely see how Kienholz, Sayin, and even St. Clair lead the units they're on at that particular time during the drill. You can see their toughness when maybe they have to be a little bit bolder and maybe address a player because somebody got something wrong. Those two things that Ryan Day wants to see, the leadership and toughness from the guy that's going to be the starting quarterback for Ohio State, you can see that during these drills. It's clear. You're throwing to different receivers. You have a different offensive line in front of you. You have so many different things going on differently when you're with the ones versus when you're with the twos, which make drills like this very, very key for Ohio State and Ryan Day's patient approach to try to figure out who the starting quarterback is going to be. I don't like a statement that I hear all the time or have heard quite a bit throughout my life. Patience is a virtue. Man, I ain't trying to be patient. Absolutely not. I don't want to be patient at all. I want to try to go at my own pace. Maybe try to speed that thing up a little bit because my pace works for me. And I don't want to go at the pace somebody else wants me to go because that's not my pace. That's not what I like. I want to go at my pace. Now, I can call the shots for things I do, but when there are other people involved, I have to take them into account and realize maybe they can't go at my pace or maybe we got to go a little bit faster. But one thing I have realized that sometimes going faster, even in life, even if you're outside the football field, patience and being patient while making decisions and being patient in general, there's nothing wrong with it. When I think about patience as a virtue, I looked this up because I want to try to get the right words to describe it because the way I just said patience is a virtue, but there's also that right definition. Having the ability to wait calmly and endure difficulties or delays without getting upset or frustrated. There's more to that, but that goes into the leadership. If you're not so much being patient and realizing patience is a virtue and trying to speed things up, you might get frustrated. You might get aggravated. Or you might go at one of your teammates when you shouldn't. Ryan Day's patience is big right here. He's been patient throughout his entire tenure. We're trying to figure out who the starting quarterback is going to be. And I believe that Ryan Day doing that right now is not only going to help him figure out who the right QB is to start for the Buckeyes, but it's also going to make Ohio State's team stronger. Well, that's going to make Ohio State's team stronger. The emphasis that Ohio State has right now during spring practice is going to make the team stronger as well. We'll dive into that next. The Armada Team of the Week is brought to you by our friends at Nissan and the all-new 2025 Nissan Armada. Each week, our Locked On College basketball experts are picking one team that stands apart. From top-seeded stars to the unexpected upsets, these guys showcase the strength and sheer power needed to push their team forward. This week's Armada and clear-cut Team of the Week is the Florida Gators. The Gators, led by Walter Clayton, 17 points a game, just dominated the SEC tournament, winning each game by at least 9 points. Not only did Florida grab the fourth 1 seed, but they are the nation's most efficient offense. When it comes to the Nissan Armada, they say go forth and conquer, and that's exactly what the Florida Gators have done. It's clear that our Team of the Week is out here ready to conquer the road ahead with confidence, just like you can in the all-new Nissan Armada or any of Nissan's outstanding vehicles. Take the Nissan Armada, Rogue, or Pathfinder and go find your next big adventure. Shop NissanUSA.com. This episode is brought to you by Fabric by Gerber Life. Life moves fast, especially when you have a family. One day you're watching your kids take their first steps, and before you know it, they're off to college. That's why securing their future is so important. Fabric by Gerber Life makes it simple to get term life insurance that fits your family's needs. With Fabric, you can apply for term life insurance online, right from your couch. You could be covered in under 10 minutes, and in many cases, no health exam is required. As a parent, I want to make sure my family is financially protected no matter what happens. Fabric gives me that peace of mind. You can get millions of dollars in coverage for less than $1 a day, so protecting your loved ones doesn't have to break the bank. Join thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their families. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. That's meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Assurance Company, not available in certain states. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions. Thank y'all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Ohio State is once again trying to figure out who the right quarterback is going to be for Ohio State, while also emphasizing something very specific for the Buckeyes during the 15 practices this time of year. Ohio State is trying to do something everybody wants to do: be more versatile. And while trying to have players that are very versatile out there on the field, you can do things now to accomplish that goal. And we look no further than what is going on with Ohio State's offensive line. And Austin Siereveld is a guy that got a lot of run a year ago and was one player that I was looking forward to seeing him out there on the football field once again. And he is not only going to be on the football field, but right now he's running with the ones at left tackle. Not the main position he played a year ago, being guard, but at left tackle. And I think Austin Siereveld, like a lot of other guys, are going to be cross-trained right now. That's going to help Ohio State be more prepared for potentially having the unfortunate happen in back-to-back years where you have to go to your 8th and then your 9th offensive lineman because of injury. Now, the starting offensive line, so many of you are thinking, well, if Austin Sierveld's there, what's the starting offensive line? And I'll go over that really quickly. At least on the first day of practice, this is what it was. Austin Siereveld was left tackle. Luke Montgomery was left guard. Center was Carson Hensman. Right guard, Tigger Shabola. And then right tackle, Ian Moore. Now, one thing you'll realize when I say those 5 names is that Ethan Ananwa and Phillip Daniels are not really starting offensive line. That should not be a surprise. Ryan Day has made a very calculated decision to not put transfers into the starting lineup right away, especially on day 1 of practice. That's not to say that Ethan Ananwa and Phillip Daniels won't start in the fall. That's just to say right now, you have to work yourself up to get to that point. But for Siereveld to be there at left tackle, there was conversation a year ago that maybe Siereveld would go to left tackle once you realize your first 2 left tackles last year went down with injuries. And you would possibly would have kept Donovan Jackson at left guard. Ultimately, that wasn't the decision. It was Jackson at left tackle, a little rotation there at left guard, and it worked out for Ohio State that led them to win the national championship. But I think the cross-training here with this position is going to be huge. You're going to see some of this with the defensive backs as well. You're going to see some guys maybe play cover safety or nickel corner, that also play outside corner, that might even play some strong safety a little bit, kind of the Swiss Army knife like a Jordan Hancock was a year ago. You might see C.J. Hicks play double duty between playing outside backer and defensive end. Both are going to be in the 2-point stance, but there's going to be a little bit of cross-training there. You might see some guys play D-end and D-tackle, little cross-training there. You might see a little bit of that. You know you're going to see guys play slot and outside receiver. That's almost a self-explanatory thing, but that's what you're going to see. All of this is geared towards Ohio State being more versatile and having players that can play multiple positions. It's what you want. If I'm a coach right now at any level of football or any sport in general, that's a team sport, I want guys that can play multiple positions. Think about it. In the NBA, you hear all the time, so-and-so can guard 2 through 5 or 1 through 5. Now, in reality, most guys can't guard 2 through 5 or 1 through 5, or even 1 through 4. Most guys can't do that. Even some of the best in the sport can't guard, the two guard versus the center. You can't do it. There are the rare guys that can. And when you got a guy that can, you might be able to pull that out of them when you least expect it because you need it at that point in time. All of a sudden, it works to perfection. Let's go back a little bit. I don't normally go this far back in history in my mind, but Magic Johnson, his rookie year, had to play center because Kareem Abdul-Jabbar was hurt and ultimately helped lead his team to win the NBA Finals. Now, that's not something you would think about when you think about Magic Johnson, the point guard, the 6'9" guy that had the height, had the size, had the handle, had the vision, had the passing that you could never think about. You really only see in a video game. That was Magic Johnson. Now, your big man goes down. What do you have? You got a guy that can play point guard, but he also can play big man. And next thing you know, he plays both. That's something you're going to see from Ohio State this year. Not truly someone's going to go from being the point guard to being the big man. You're not going to see the quarterback go from being the QB to the right tackle. That's not going to happen. Absolutely not. But if you can get a guy that can play tackle and guard and maybe center, think about how valuable that asset is going to be if the rubber meets the road and there are some injuries, multiple injuries on that unit. Now, the second unit for Ohio State's offensive line on the first day of spring practice, Ethan Ananwa at left tackle, Devontae Armstrong at left guard, Josh Padilla at center, Gabe Van Sickle at right guard, and then Phillip Daniels at right tackle. For the threes, Carter Lowe at left tackle, Jake Cook at left guard, Simon Lawrence at center, Javen McFadden at right guard, and Deontay Armstrong at right tackle. I had to make sure I put the Armstrong twins' correct names on my notepad because I knew I was going to butcher it up. I look at them, they're identical. I can't tell them apart. So if I put Devontae at tackle when he's truly a guard, sorry, I couldn't figure it out. But I made sure to do that on my notepad. I'm going to give you guys the right information because you're valuable fans that want to be well-informed. Part of me believes that at some point throughout spring practice, you're going to get Ananwa and Daniels to go to the first unit. Now, when that happens, Ananwa goes to left tackle, Daniels goes to right tackle. My gut tells me you might see Siereveld go to left guard and Montgomery go to right guard. Because I have a hard time believing even Tega right now is a guard. I think Tega's best position is going to be tackle. Now, he does have to be tougher and be more flexible. I don't know if he's tough enough to play guard in the upcoming year. Maybe it was because he was banged up a little bit, and that's why some of his play at times was subpar. Not sure. However, I think he could be a better tackle. A couple things to watch. Well, one big thing to watch. Couple more things to watch with this unit. At right tackle, you're going to have Ian Moore, Phillip Daniels kind of battle it out for that right tackle spot. Daniels came in to start, but Ian Moore is going to do everything he can to push that young man to be the best. Josh Padilla, is he going to progress enough to infiltrate the starting offensive line? And if he does, you're going to find a situation that Hinsman could go to left guard. Montgomery could go to right guard. Siereveld's the guy you're trying to figure out where he's going to go because he's good at the start. But if Josh Padilla goes up to center because he's one of the best guys to play there, and Hinsman goes to left guard, I believe Montgomery and Selvard are good enough to start. What does that do for Ananwa Daniels? I think in that situation, you can see Daniels on the outside looking in. Not here to ruffle any feathers, just here to share my opinion about what's going on with the offensive line and why I love Ohio State trying to be more versatile with their players during spring ball. All that's going to help Ryan Day in the fall be the guy he wants to be and the coach wants to be, while also having a very unique demeanor that we saw on the first day of spring practice. We'll dive into that next. This episode is brought to you by Upwork. Scaling your business requires the right expertise at the right time. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts ready to help you take your business to the next level. Upwork gives businesses flexibility by connecting them with top freelance talent across multiple industries, including IT, AI, web development, and marketing. Whether you need extra hands for a project or a long-term partner, Upwork makes hiring simple and affordable. If you need help with a marketing campaign, Upwork can connect you with a freelance expert who delivered incredible results. Posting a job is free and simple, and within a day with multiple qualified candidates to choose from. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That's UPWORK.com, Upwork.com to connect with top talent and grow your business today.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Thank you all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. One thing you know is going to happen to Ryan Day after winning the national championship is he's going to have a monkey come off his back. And when the monkey comes off his back, there's a weight that's off his shoulders. His body feels lighter. He's going to smile a little bit more. He's also going to feel a lot more relaxed. That's what Ryan Day's demeanor was on the first day of spring practice, was a relaxed Ryan Day, a composed Ryan Day. And Ryan Day is realizing, we have figured something out. And there was a code that hadn't been cracked during his own tenure at Ohio State that has now been cracked. And I think the relaxed Ryan Day could lead to the rosy-cheeked assassin, as one man called him, in the fall. Because if you're relaxed now and you realize we figured something out, not just me, it's all of us on the coaching staff, all of the players, everybody inside working in this football program, we have figured something out. And when you figure that out, you realize why Nick Saban was the way he was, and Kirby Smart is the way he is, and Dabble is the way he is. But also realize that you don't have to be like them. You could just be yourself. You don't have to worry about all of the ins and outs. You don't have to worry about all of the pros and cons of decisions. You'd still do, but you also realize that I got a formula that worked a year ago. But also that formula might have to be tweaked to get the same result this upcoming year. And while Ryan Day's demeanor is very, very relaxed, the players inside the team or on the team are helping him be very, very relaxed, because those players have decided to do something very, very interesting. They have decided to take down some of the national championship banners and things around the locker room, so you don't look at that and say, look at what we accomplished. We got this done. We have figured something out. And even though a lot of the guys that were on that team leading us a year ago aren't on the team anymore, we were part of that masterpiece. We were part of that team that won the Natty. And you seeing that cause your head to get puffed up and bigger and bigger and bigger. Next thing you know, it can't fit on the screen right now that you're watching me on, if you're watching on the YouTube. And you don't want that to happen. It's also showing that the players are taking ownership of the program. That's not a coach-led thing. It's a player-led thing. It's also going to help Ryan Day be very, very calm and be very relaxed, because a lot of the pressure he was feeling before was, it's due pressure. You're losing to your rival 4 years in a row. You have been struggling to beat teams in the regular season that you can beat. All of a sudden now, after some guys are gone, when you get to the mountaintop, the leaders in the clubhouse now are taking complete ownership. No, we don't need that right now. No. We don't need that. Let's build our own story. Let's put things together. Let's put the puzzle together that's our puzzle. No missing pieces. Nothing from the outside trying to break this thing up. Nobody trying to steal a handful of pieces so we couldn't finish the puzzle at the end of the day. How about we do what's needed to protect this house and do what last year's team did in the upcoming season? And I love that. As someone that has watched Ryan Day very, very closely while covering him over the past few years, you can tell when Ryan Day is stressed out. You can tell when Ryan Day is feeling the pressure. I mean, if you just simply think about the 2019 team and how great that team was, and the talent that was on that team, what happened at the end of the year put a lot of pressure on Ryan Day. What happened in the national championship in 2020 put a lot of pressure on Ryan Day. What happened in 2021 and 2022 and the following seasons put a lot of pressure on Ryan Day. Not just because of the stuff going on with Michigan, but because you believe the talent you have on your team is good enough to get you to the promised land, but you're not getting there. It's a lot more pressure that no coach wants to have right now. And then you add in the death threats and him having to have 24/7 security at his home and kids not going to school at times just to keep them safe. That's a whole lot of pressure for a man. But what you're finding with Ryan Day is his job is still very difficult. Nobody's going to sit up here and say Ryan Day does not have a very tough job. But it makes his job easier when those that are the leaders on the team are taking control and saying, no, we don't need that. We don't need that. Hey, you out of line? No, cut that out. We don't need that. And they're policing themselves instead of you policing them. It shows maturity. It shows leadership. It shows toughness. And it also shows exactly what Ryan Day wants to see from this team right now. Think about Caleb Downs or Jeremiah Smith or whoever the starting quarterback's going to be. You want to see leadership qualities and toughness. I read this recently, and I was very happy to see that Caleb Downs is helping do some on-field coaching right now during spring practice. And I don't know the player's name, so forgive me for that, but he was very instrumental, Caleb Downs was, in helping a newcomer to the team try to figure some things out on the first day of spring practice and be a coach on the field. Yeah, he has a position coach, and he has people that he can learn from. But Caleb Downs being active in coaching fellow safeties, even giving walk-on Ryan Rodzinski some hands-on technique, that's big, man. I mean, we have been talking about Caleb Downs being an on-field coach and being the coach's son that knows what that's like from seeing his father do that for so many years, and also his brother playing in the NFL and knowing what it took him to get to the National Football League and sustain himself there and take care of his body and the nutrition and all of the little, somewhat minor details that are very big on the football field. You got that from so many different angles. But now you're able to do that and coach up players during your own practice as when you're a player. That's so big. And that's another reason why Ryan Day's demeanor was relaxed on the first day of spring practice. And he just sit back at his chair, just be chilling, just realizing, man, these guys make my job easier. They don't make your job easy. They make the job easier. And while they're making the job easier, it's going to help Ryan Day be more hands-on on the offense once again. Not saying it's going to be the OC, but help Hartline and Coach Key out. Hey, Matt Patricia needs some help over here on the defensive side of the ball. I know you're a newcomer here. We can help you with that too. And Ryan Day helps Matt Patricia out. Oh, want to get some help with X, Y, or Z? Ryan Day can help them out with that too. Ryan Day has figured some things out. He is pushing the right buttons. He has the right guys in the right positions. That's going to help him be more relaxed out there on the practice field. But also, it's going to help him push the right buttons and apply pressure when he needs to. And I can't wait for spring practice to get ramped up and for the intensity to go to another level, to hear more about and to see more about the hitting and how players respond to it. And I'm watching closely CJ Hicks. Is he going to jump Caden Curry or Kenyatta Jackson Jr. in the depth chart? It's possible. I don't know if it's going to happen or not. There were other things that CJ Hicks needs to do to make sure he is a good defensive end in the fall. I'm not even saying elite or great. I'm not going that far yet. Just make sure he's a solid or a good defensive end. There are other things he needs to do that'll help Ryan Day stay a lot more relaxed during practices. We'll potentially dive into CJ Hicks on tomorrow's episode. and might even bring back the weekly stock watch. We ain't done that in a while, but it's tomorrow. But it's a hump. No, it's a hump day on the way. Oh, my days are all mixed up. Hump day's coming up. It's a Wednesday show we're talking about. And we might do a stock watch and do a little CJ Hicks revisiting his transition to playing defensive end for the Buckeyes on tomorrow's show. Thank y'all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen today. For your second listen, check out the Locked On College Basketball with Isaac Shade and Andy Patton. March is here to be the most informed college basketball fan throughout the madness. Find Locked On College Basketball on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can follow me on any social media platform at jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. This has been Locked On Buckeyes on a Tuesday. We'll see you next time.